بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم أشغل قلوبنا بحبك وألسنتنا بذكرك وأبداننا بطاعتك وعقولنا بالتفقه في دينك والتفكر في خلقك. اللهم اجعل صمتنا فكرا واجعل منطقنا ذكرا، فإنك سبحانك تعبد بالصمت كما تعبد بالمنطق. اللهم إنا قد أطعناك في أحب الأشياء إليك أن تطاع به، الإيمان بك والإقرار بك، ولم نعصك في أبغض الأشياء الذي توصى به الكفر والشرك بك. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With his divine support, he enabled us tonight to renew our brotherhood and our sisterhood for his sake. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep our hearts busy with his love. Once our hearts is busy with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't think about anything anymore that can hurt us. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Those who believed in true belief, their hearts will go into tranquility and peace simply by the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep our hearts busy by him and to keep our tongues busy by his remembrance. Because as a human family, sometimes we talk a lot and sometimes we suffer from what we are saying, because words inspire and words can transform somebody's destiny. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep our tongues busy with his remembrance. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep our bodies busy with his worship. Any move we make, any step we take, gets to draw us closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a true life. True life is activity and movement in accord with the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep our minds busy with learning about his deen, the true education. To keep our mind busy with thinking about Allah's creation. And that is the open book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by telling him, oh Allah, we worshipped you with the most beloved thing you want. And what is that? To believe in you and recognize you as the creator. This is the best a human being can do, to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and admit that he is the only one who is worthy of worship. We did that, oh Allah, regardless how good or how bad, but we believe you are the only creator and you are the only one who is worthy of worship, and we submit to that reality. And oh Allah, we did not disobey you in the worst form of disobedience. And what is that? Shirk and kufr. Disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or making a partner with him. We didn't go that far, oh Allah. Faghfir lana ma baynahuma. So whatever in between these two, forgive us. We did the best you want to believe in you, while many didn't. And we didn't commit the worst to make a partner with you or disbelieve in you. Any other sins we committed between these two, please forgive us. Tonight's topic, it's a connection to what we spoke about a bit last week. And I wanted to cover it fully tonight, inshallah. And the topic is a great man in the house of Israel. Who is Israel? Israel is Israel. The Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. Israel is the man who questioned his children when he was on the bed of death. He said to his children, Am kuntum shuhada idh hadara Yaqub al-maut, idh qala li banihi, ma ta'buduna min ba'di. Are you witnesses? Have you been there? When Yaqub alayhi salam told his children when he was dying, and he asked his children, Ma ta'buduna min ba'di? What will you do after me? What lifestyle will you adopt after me? Who will you worship, or what will you worship after me? That was his question as a father leaving his sons in this dunya. And he wanted to make sure the way he raised them up is on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So they say to him, قَالُوا نَعْبُدُ إِلَهَكَ وَإِلَهَ آبَائِكَ. We will worship you, Lord, and the Lord of your parents. We will be like you. And we will stay on the path you put us. So Yaqub alayhi salam went for his eternal sleep as a happy father, because he made sure his children on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. That man, that prophet, is Israel. He is the man who gave wasiyah, and wasiyah is the most important advice and the most sincere advice. We live with somebody when we know that we're going to die. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and Yaqub alayhi salam, the Quran said about them, وَوَصَّى بِهَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ بَنِيهِ وَيَعْقُوبُ. Yaqub is Israel. He made his wasiyah, his will to his children, and he said to them, Ya baniya, O my children, Inna Allah astafa lakum ad-din. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indeed have chosen this deen for you. Islam is chosen for you, because that is the only deen, the only way of life that will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to recognize your creator and do his will. We call that simply in Arabic, Islam. Recognize your creator, the only one who created you, and the only one who has the right to tell you how to live the life he gave to you. Yaqub alayhi salam told his children this will, O my children, Allah has chosen Islam for you. فَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. So die not unless you are on the state of Islam. Live with Islam and die with Islam. So Yaqub alayhi salam is the man Israel. And why I say his house, what is a house? I didn't say his home. There is a difference between a house. A house is whatever is housing you or covering you or where you are, not necessarily where you want to be. And when there is no love in a house, there is no respect, there is no kindness, there is no sharing or caring, we don't call that a home. And the worst type of loneliness is when you feel lonely in your own family, among your own blood or friends. This happened in the house of the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, Israel. Domestic violence is the other way to say it. Domestic violence in the house of the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. And that's why I said at that moment it was a house where people are together. تَحْسَبُهُمْ جَمِيعًا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ شَتَّى. You think they are together, but everybody's heart in different direction. Just like our social life today in our families. This house is housing all of us, but everybody in different world. We don't call that a home. A home is when we share the love, the respect, the kindness, the peace, A home is when all of us on the same path, the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim, and we live for it, and we die for it, and we work together for that. And that's why I did not call it a home of Yaqub alayhi salam, but the house of Israel. Domestic violence took place. But the other part of the topic, strong men and women aren't born. They are made. Through the storms they walk through. Who is the great man in the house of Israel? I want to start with the end of the great man, the last words of the great man after everything was accomplished. The great man is Yusuf alayhi salam. And in the end of his story, he said this dua, Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk. Oh my Lord, you have given me of the sovereignty. Look at his politeness, his humbleness. He didn't say, oh my Lord, you made me the king or you gave me the kingdom. He said, you gave me of the kingdom, of the sovereignty, because the only king is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only sovereign is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk. Oh my Lord, you have given me of the sovereignty. وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. And you taught me of, again he said, of the interpretation of the dreams. He didn't say I have it all. And then he said, فَاطِرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. The only true creator of the heaven and the earth. أَنْتَ وَلِيِّي فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. You are my protector in this dunya and in the life to come. You are my helper. You are my guardian. You are my sustainer. Only you and no one else. Tawaffani Musliman. Cause me to die as a Muslim, as someone who submitted to you fully. Wa'alhiqni bis-salih. And join me to the righteous. This was his dua. The great man in the house of Israel, in the end of his story, that's what he said. He forgot everything just like it didn't happen. And he expressed his thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he is a great man. Let us go now to the beginning. How men and women of strength did not fall from the heaven, but they rose from hell. As we know, if you want to test gold, we use fire. And when you burn it, it will become pure and become real. It doesn't become worse. And if you want to test man, difficulties and trouble will give birth to real men and women of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who will never cave in and will never submit to pain or any difficult circumstances. And we want to live up to this spirit. The power that will never bow except to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the wise man said, show your weakness only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But go out to the people with your full strength. Don't submit to none. And that is the true meaning of La ilaha illallah. We don't bow, we don't submit to no one and to nothing, no system, except to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the strength that Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam attained through the storms he went through. And why we call him a great man. The Arabs said long time ago, من العظماء من يشعر المرء بحضرته بأنه ضعيف ولكن العظيم بحق هو من يشعر الجميع في حضرته بأنهم عظماء. Some so-called great people, if you are with them, you feel like you are weak and you are inferior and you are nothing. But the real great people, when you are with them or around them, you yourself feel like you are great and you are superior. And these are the real great people. A question. The people under your authority, how do they feel? Your friends, how do they feel around you? Your employees, how do they feel around you? Your children, how do they feel around you? If they feel great, you are a great man. You are a great boss. You are a great imam. You are a great family leader. But if they feel little, inferior, you are not a great person yet. Yusuf alayhi salam was great because he never gave up using his conscience to deal with his family. Because when we give up using our conscience, our love or hate will be based on emotion. And our judgment to people will be based on emotion, no values and principles. But Yusuf alayhi salam was a great man. He never judged the people, his family with emotion or anger or difficult outcome of what he has been through. He always used his conscience, his heart, and that is a true self. Yusuf alayhi salam, what he has been through, we learn from it a lot. What his brothers have done to him, we all know the story. And why we know the story? For us to be ready and remain great and walk tall and stand strong in case the only people who claim to love you are the one who is hurting you. In case this happens, your bloodline, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, or anyone, because some people, the only one causing them pain, not their enemies, but those who claimed to love them, causing them pain and make them suffer in silence. Yusuf alayhi salam went through this. It was not the neighbors who hurted him or the countrymen, but people who came from the same backbone, from the backbone of Yaqub alayhi salam, Israel. But what happened? For us to learn, if you are having a hard time from your brother, don't be troubled. Stand strong and remember this is my brother. It may happen, or from your sister, from your uncle, or from anyone who you don't expect to cause you harm or make you suffer. Stand strong because you want to be great. Don't hit back. Yusuf alayhi salam, being thrown into the well, but he was a strong man. He didn't cave in, and he never lose his hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his little mind. That was a storm. The people who are supposed to protect you, they threw him into death. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written protection for you, as the Arabs said long time ago, وَإِذَا الْعِنَايَةُ لَاحَظَتْكَ عُيُونُهَا نَمْ فَالْمَخَاوِفُ كُلُّهُنَّ أَمَانُ. If Allah's eyes are guarding you, if Allah is taking care of your affairs, go to sleep and don't be afraid. Everything is scary will turn into peace for you. Why? Because Allah is your bodyguard. Allah is your armor. That happened to you. Harm will touch all of us, as the Quran said. It may come, but doesn't mean anything. It is training you to become someone who Allah wants you to be. Allah is preparing you for something. And that's why Yusuf alayhi salam, from the beautiful dream, وَعَسَى أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَى أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ. From the beautiful dream, he woke up one morning to share with his father and then his family. But his father said to him, hold on, my son, I know what you don't know. You know, our parents, even when they're sitting down, they see more far than where we can see when we are standing on a mountain. So he said to his son, don't share this with your brothers. because Shaitan is around. And he can use this beautiful destiny of yours to turn your brothers against you. But Yusuf alayhi salam, with his innocence, he shared the dream with them. And then the jealousy starts. Jealousy is in all of us. It is between brothers and sisters. Jealousy is between scholars, between rich people, between successful people. But those people who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they bury it and they don't let it run their decisions. But those who don't fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they make it manifest itself in the way they will react to somebody. That is jealousy. No wonder why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to seek refuge in him, not only from shaitan, but وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. And also, O Allah, I seek refuge in you from the evil of the jealous person and the envy of the envier, or those who practice their jealousy. Yaqub alayhi salam, he has that wisdom, and he told his son not to share his beautiful dream, but his son, out of innocence, he did. And then the domestic violence started. Jealousy that led to hate, hate that led to murder. And the family went through this hardship on their way to the glory. It ended up with glory because of the great man who was the hero of the whole show, Yusuf alayhi salam. So that was one storm blew on the family of Israel, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. And the storm was so strong, it put the family apart. One brother far away and the others together, but the home became a house. The father is not happy anymore because of what his own sons did to him. Every father, every mother. If your sons or daughters causing you to suffer in silence, don't be troubled. Just say, Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best one to rely on. But I will never pray to Allah to destroy my sons or my daughters. I'm waiting for the day when they will come back to the nature of the love and being good and being the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I know many families are going through this. As an Imam for 25 years in this country, I came across boys who punched their father, actually one. I came across a family. The brother killed his brother. And that was only 2 years ago. A brother who killed his brother. And that brother went to prison now. Can you imagine, as a father or parents, my son killed my son. One of my son in the graveyard of the dead people, and my other son in the graveyard of the living people, the prison. Can you imagine what we're going through? All of this is happening. People are suffering in silence. But in the end of the day, we don't cave in, we don't give up. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you put us in this, you can get us out of it. But we will never break our faith in you. We learn from the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. Look at what his sons did to his son. But yet, he always said, and he lived up to himself, what he used to say, Sabrun Jamil, beautiful patience. I will be patient beautifully, the best type of patience. And he still maintains the family. But he was hurt, very hurt. He was suffering in silence. And there was scars on his heart. But he never said more than this, Sabrun Jamil. With what everything that happened, the candle of hope was still shining in his heart. And he still believed my son will come. And after a few years, he didn't come. He lost his other son, but he still believed two of them will come one day. That's what we call faith. He was walking by faith. And faith is when you stand strong when no visible guarantee is present, but you live with your faith and stay firm with it. Yaqub alayhi salam, Israel, he stayed calm in his depth. And when things got worse, he said to his son, I know from Allah what you don't know. He was enjoying his iman, his faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alladhina amanu wa tatma'innu qulubuhum bi dhikrillah. Those who believe, and that is a benefit of faith. You enjoy it. And the darkest hour in your life becomes the happiest moment because of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your conscience. With Allah, none of us will ever fall down. With dua. Since the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam advised us, with dua, we will not fail. And if we do, Allah will lift us up again. So that storm was so strong, it threw the family apart. It threw Yusuf all the way into a well, into slavery, into prison, into temptation of ladies. But he was a great man. He never submitted to any of them. He never submitted to weakness. He never submitted to the temptation of the ladies. On the contrary, actually he said, قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تصرف عني كيدهن أصب إليهن وأكن من الجاهلين. You know, sometimes when you observe the environment in which I live, I have to go away from this one. Otherwise, I lose something I cannot afford to lose, my faith and my Islam. Yusuf alayhi salam has to say this, oh Allah, the prison is dearer to me than what the ladies are inviting me to. And unless you protect me from their plot and their conspiracy, I will incline toward them and become among the ignorant people. And who is an ignorant person? Someone who submits to their lust and their desire and ignore the sovereignty and the might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Yusuf alayhi salam didn't want to be among those people. So he made his dua. And truly he went to prison. But see what happened in the prison. You never know where will you meet your best friend, someone who will transform your life. Yusuf alayhi salam in the prison. Let us look at this. Another lesson we learn how we can turn something bitter and too sour into sweet drink. Once we don't forget who we are, everything will end up being positive. The Quran said, وَدَخَلَ مَعَهُ السِّجْنَ فَتَيَانِ قَالَ أَحَدُهُمَا إِنِّي أَرَانِي أَعْصِرُ خَمْرًا وَقَالَ الْآخَرُ إِنِّي أَرَانِي أَحْمِلُ فَوْقَ رَأْسِي خُبْزًا تَأْكُلُ الطَّيْرُ مِنْهُ نَبِّئْنَا بِتَأْوِيلِهِ إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Look at the comment of these prisoners. We're talking about prisoners, and usually prisoners mean criminals, highway people who ended up being in the prison. But look at their comment about Yusuf alayhi salam. They say to Yusuf alayhi salam, every face has a story to tell, but your face has a good story. They know that this man is a good man. How he ended up in the prison. You don't look criminal. These two prisoners were wise enough to realize that a good man around them. And they started to do their mission. What is that? To learn from him. How many people Allah brought around our life, in our neighborhood, maybe at work, or anywhere else? Did we read anything on their faces? Did we realize who they are so that we can benefit from them? If these prisoners turned prison into a learning place because they see the lifestyle of Yusuf alayhi salam, a Muslim is a Muslim. A true Muslim is like a diamond. Diamond is diamond wherever it is. It is in the mud, it's still diamond. In the dirt, it's still diamond. Wherever it is, it's still diamond. And Yusuf was a great man, he was diamond, and people recognize good people when you meet them, when you hear them, and when you read their faces and listen to their words. But Yusuf alayhi salam, now he won 2 students in prison. And they're asking about learning about the meaning of dreams. But Yusuf alayhi salam took them to something more important. Something more important. And what is that? He realized these people need me now. I have something they want. And all of us, we have to make sure we are good. We have something good that people want. And then they will try to find a key into our life. When Yusuf realized these people need me and they want to learn from me, I want to start with them the most important lessons and the most important education, the true education. And what is a true education? True education cultivates the divine spark in every human being. So Yusuf alayhi salam did not wait. Straight away, he wanted to start with them from that. He said to them, Ya sahibaya sijin, arbabun mutafarriquna khayrun amillahu al-wahid al-qahhar. Oh, my companion, my 2 companions in prison. So he created a team. He calls them now his friends, his companion. He paved the environment. These people feel comfortable to him. They see him as a good man who is worthy of listening to. Yusuf made himself like that. And then by being like that, he prepared audience. And he wanted to put in the attention of his students and audience the most important reality in life, to recognize God and do his will. And deny the false so-called gods, deny them all. The false gods that divided mankind completely, because the true one God unites humanity in truth. So he said to them, you tell me, use your own head to think, oh my friends, which one is better to you? He sent them back to have the most important conversation in life, and that is a conversation with the self. Regardless what the world says, what do you say? Listen to your heart. Listen to your inner voice that will never lie to you, and be honest to that voice. He asked them like that. Which one is real to you? So many dividing and divided gods made by people better, or the true conquering one God? And of course, we know that the answer, when we are truthful to ourselves, of course, the only one true God is worthy of being worshipped. That's what he put in their attention. He gave them the lesson 1 in the true education, to recognize your creator. Once you know him, you will love him. And once you love him, he will become Akbar. And then we say, Allahu Akbar. Allah comes first. Allah is the center of my life. Any other education is little. After that, he explained to them the meaning of their dreams. Who they met in prison, a great man. And what made him great? The truth that he's moving around with, plus he will never submit to lust or desire. And he's ready to go through any difficulty as long he will be holding up to the truth. And that's why he chose prison. And that's why he ran away from the lady. And that's why he preferred to be in the difficult environment as long he felt home. He felt home in prison. because it was at least an environment when he can control himself. But out there, sometimes we call it civilization, sometimes we call it education, sometimes we call it progress, art, sometimes we call it democracy, and whatnot. But Islam call it jahiliyyah, ignorance. Why it is ignorance? Because it is against the other through method. There are only two methods or way of life in this dunya. One is from Allah, we call that Islam, and the other one from Shaitan, we call that jahiliyyah, ignorance. When we do things against the will of the Creator, we call that ignorance. Even if everybody accepts that and live up to that, a true believer, we stand up for what is right against what is popular. And nowadays, what is popular is the will of mankind, which is against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But a strong man and a great man like Yusuf alayhi salam, they live up to their belief. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. I will never bow except to Allah. Allah comes first. So with all the storms that he has been through, he overcomes them all. And in the end, he made his dua. That I started the talk with. So in life, we will come across a lot. What Yusuf alayhi salam went through, it went for so long. But in the end, he became what Allah was preparing him to become. Look at it from the family violence, hated by his own brothers, jealousy. And they decided to kill him. But somebody took time to think and say, don't kill him, do something else, but don't kill him. Sometimes we make decisions out of anger and quickly, and we destroy everything that was going to be good. So they threw him away. He was taken from the well. He was sold. He was bought. He was used as a servant. He was accused by chasing women. Imagine somebody's reputation as a man. Two things a man of dignity cannot play around with. When a man is accused by women, that people don't trust this man on their wives, on their daughters, on their sisters, on their mothers, that is one of the worst social character assassination for a man. And number two, when people don't trust you financially. This is so terrible. Yusuf alayhi salam was accused through the first one by women. And can you imagine his reputation in the community? But he knew that justice will prevail. It's only a matter of time. Because there is someone, we call him Allah, Al-Adl, is a just. And if the court of mankind failed, his will never. And he said, when injustice takes place, I will be there and I will be against it. So Yusuf alayhi salam had this hope, but he did what he has to do. And he ran away from the ladies and he chose the prison as his home. What type of house do you live in right now? Do you feel it is home? If it is a house in which you feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, congratulations. A house that strengthens the muscle of your faith and iman, congratulations. A house that will remind you to pray if you forget your prayer, to read your Quran if you forget reading your Quran, to live up to your identity if you forget, and your identity is Islam. A house that people there encourage one another to do what is right. A house in which people are not silent when something wrong is going on because they don't want to be cursed. Since Allah said in the Quran, لُعِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ عَلَى لِسَانِ دَاوُودَ وَعِيسَى بْنِ مَرْيَمَ ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَوْا وَكَانُوا يَعْتَدُونَ. كانوا لا يتناهون عن منكر فعلوه. From the children of Israel, some has been cursed on the tongue of Dawood alayhi salam as a prophet and Isa alayhi salam as a prophet. Why? ذلك بما عصوا, due to their disobedience, وكانوا يعتدون, and they used to transgress the limit. How? By doing this. كانوا لا يتناهون عن منكر فعلوه. They used to see one another doing something wrong and no comments. They're happy with it. Something committing something sinful, they can say, look, it is a human right, it's freedom, no worries, go ahead. They never tell you what you're doing is wrong. So Allah cursed them. I don't want a family who will see me being cursed, but they're quiet. Who will see me disobeying Allah openly, and they're quiet. That family, in the language of the Quran, is a cursed family. Why? Because their sin wrong is done, and they don't worry about it. If I see my brother or my sister, or my wife or my husband, or my son or my daughter, going into a place that will be infected with COVID-19, what we will do straight away, tell them to go away from that. To a virus that may happen to you, and you may survive it anyway. But the virus of sin is very hard to survive it, especially when it becomes again and again and becomes normal, and then become a lifestyle. A lifestyle in which Allah is dismissed from the public school of life. The matter becomes, do what you want. Nothing absolutely wrong, nothing absolutely right. It depends what you want, just do it. This is the danger of the environment that is covering us as a blanket. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with family who care, who will not feel for us when we have headache or any other pain only, but they feel for us when we are suffering sins. And that is the worst virus, and that is the worst disease, because it's destroyed dunya and the akhirah. So the storm that blew on the house of Israel did not destroy the hope of Yusuf alayhi salam, because he was a great man. And in the end, he forgave everybody. And those people who did wrong to him, they admitted and submitted to his judgment. He was on his way to the ultimate greatness after being the best family member, after being patient on his brothers, after being patient in front of the temptation of that lady, which many men failed, and many men denounced their belief because they say, the woman I love, Akbar, they forgot Allahu Akbar. Many people denounce their belief because they say, the job I have, Akbar, and they denounced Allahu Akbar. But not Yusuf alayhi salam. He survived that all, and he was under lockdown in the prison for years because his friend forgot him. What type of friend do you have? Another storm. The friend that Yusuf told, you will be safe, you will be freed from the prison, and you will be close to the king. But remember me when your life is good, when you are free and you are in a high position. Use that position to free the innocent people. But his friend, when he came out and he got the beautiful big position close to the king, life with luxury, he forgot his friend Yusuf alayhi salam in prison. So Yusuf spent more years in the prison until one day something happened, and then this friend remembered Yusuf alayhi salam. We should never forget our friends. How come we remember them when life is tough? How come you say to him, Yusuf, you look so good, you are a good man, help us? And he did. But when his life became good, he forgot the people who was the stool for his well-being. But always, let us deal with the people in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we have to forget one day, due to whatever reason, we ask Allah to make us forget the bad things people have done to us, not the good things they have done. So Yusuf alayhi salam is a great man, and the house is the house of Israel, and Israel is the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. And how do you him? His name is Yaqub. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كل الطعام كان حلا لبني إسرائيل إلا ما حرم إسرائيل على نفسه من قبل أن تنزل التوراة. There was no food we call haram food to Israel alayhi salam, Libani Israel, except what Israel himself made haram to himself, and that is Yaqub alayhi salam. So that is the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, a great man. You never know the child you gave birth to, what they will become, we don't know. Maybe you gave birth to a great man or great woman. Do your best to be the best father, the best mother, and the clashes happening between your children. Remember your kids, all of them, they're just like the branches of tree. You are the tree. And all of these children are the branches that you are holding. And sometimes due to the storms of life, the wind causing these branches to rub one another. And that rubbing can cause wounds sometimes. But remember, you are the one to be hurt while they're fighting one another, because you are the father for all of them. Imagine this pain in the heart of the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, to the extent that he became so sad, and we all have the right to become sad. He was a prophet, but he has heart. And anyone who has heart has the right to love, has the right to be sad, because that is our nature. Yaqub alayhi salam practiced his nature, but they will never say what displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the sadness comes, the belief is there. And the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. We should never go beyond and let this pain forget why we are here. And once you remember, you are not the only one. Just like the example I gave to you, knowing a family in Darwin, a family who used to pray behind me when I was Imam in Darwin. His son killed his son, one to the grave and one in the prison. Can you imagine what will be the feeling of this father and the mother? We don't give birth to suffer. We give birth to have rest on our backbone, to have rest on our knees. But sometimes the wind does not come and take the direction we want it to go, but all we can do, we adjust our sail only. That's all we can do. We cannot control the wind, but we can control our sail. And that is our faith, our heart, and our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all I want to say in this lesson, there will always be great people in every house, in every country. And this dunya will never be bankrupt from the good people. We pray the same way Yusuf alayhi salam prayed, وَأَلْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ تَوَفَّنِي مُسْلِمًا وَأَلْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. Oh Allah, no matter what happened to me in this dunya, with the calamity and the problems, I just don't want to lose my Islam. I'm ready to lose my money, my people, even my life, but not my Islam. What is the point of living in this dunya, having everything, but cannot take the only thing Allah wants me to hold on tight to? If I can take it with me back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what was the purpose of my life? So don't let the storms of life take our Islam away, take our salat away, take our zakat away, or nothing else. Tawaffani musliman walhiqni bis-salihin. So we learn from Yusuf alayhi salam, remain calm and learn how to deal with your family who are hurting you. In the end, all of them will become your footstool, because Allah always with the just and truth. It is only a matter of time. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the beauty of Yusuf in our hearts, because that is the real beauty. The beauty on our faces is only skin color and skin condition, which will fade. Is not really deep, the beauty on the face. So beauty is only shallow, but ugliness is very deep up to the bones. We don't want to be that ugly. And real beauty is what is in the container. What is the content of our container? What is inside the envelope is more important than the envelope. Our body is the envelope, and our heart is what this envelope is covering. If that one is beautiful, everything else will be beautiful. I will close with these words of encouragement to try and find beauty when the world turns ugly. This world is the most dangerous place to be. The most dangerous place to be, not because of the big number of bad people, but because of the silence of the good ones. But whatever happened, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what happens, we stay calm inside us. And I say these final words to encourage ourselves. And actually, the words of encouragement is the Quran. If we dare, and we have the guts to do what Allah told us to do, Iqra, read. And Allah said it twice. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Khalaqa al-insana min alaq. Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram. We read the Quran twice. Learn how to read, and then we read, and then we learn. We learn how to read the Quran, and then we read the Quran again to learn what is in the Quran. We don't stop on the first learning. In the tajweed rules and all of this, no. That is the primary reading of the Quran. So we learn to read, and then we read to learn this time lessons for life. So the book of submission is the Quran. The book of salvation is the Quran. The book of peace is the Quran. If you refuse, we don't have to talk about happiness, because we will never be one. But listen to this man in his poetry. He said, Ayyuha shaki wa ma bikada'u. Why I'm saying this type of words? Because we live in a very difficult time. And we have to let our pain make us become very creative. As the proverb is saying that adversity is the mother of creativity. These problems will give birth to strong men and women. These storms will give birth to strong men and women. And that is how tests make people become. So it says a poetry now, Ayyuha shaki wa ma bikada'u. Oh, you person who always complain for any minor thing, complain and complain and complain. You're not even sick. You know how sick some people are? I don't want to give you more bad news, because I have a lot of profiles. I tell you somebody's sickness right now, you won't believe, yeah. But I'm just going to keep it in my profile. But this man blaming the people who cannot learn how to be patient and grateful. Why you always complain and complain and complain? You're not even sick. You don't even know what sickness is all about yet. Ayyuha shaki wa ma bikada'u. Kayfa taghdu idha ghadawta alayla. Now you are healthy. You have opportunities. Yet something simple happened, you start complaining. What about if you become sick, permanent sickness? What will you do then? Why you are like this? He's saying. هو عبء على الحياة ثقيل من يظن الحياة عبءا ثقيلا. Anyone who think life is a big burden on us, you are a big burden on life. Life is a playground of growth and progress. But if you don't have faith, you can never make it. Because our muscle can carry us only so far. Our wealth can carry us only so far. Our fame, our intelligence, but our faith can keep us on forever. Without it, we cannot make it. And then he said in that beautiful thing, وَالَّذِي نَفْسُهُ بِغَيْرِ جَمَالٍ لَا يَرَى فِي الْوُجُودِ شَيْئًا جَمِيلًا. Any human being with no beauty inside you, you will never see anything beautiful in this dunya. Everything will look ugly. You know why? Because your mind is ugly. Your heart is ugly. You are negative, and a negative mind can never produce a positive life. Some people are suffering because all they see is negative and negative. Why I said in the beginning in the dua, oh Allah, please keep our heart busy with your love. If that is the way, there is no room in our heart anymore for the stress and all of these problems. وَالَّذِي نَفْسُهُ بِغَيْرِ جَمَالٍ لَا يَرَى فِي الْوُجُودِ شَيْئًا جَمِيلًا. If there is no beauty in your heart, you will never see anything beautiful in this dunya. Why? Because you are looking at things through the stain of your dark hearts. And that's how you see. You will ever complain darkness in the middle of the day. Why? Because you're putting darkness in your heart. And then he said, Ayyuha shaki, wa ma bika da'u, oh you who just complain without any reason, kun jamilan, be beautiful. Taral wujuda jamila, and you will see this existence a beautiful place to be. Let us look for beautiful things in the darkest hour of our life, and let us learn from Yaqub alayhi salam, who never lose his hope, and let us be like Yusuf alayhi salam, who never used emotion. He always used Allah's guidance as his inviting light. And that was his thought, and that's why he was great in the family, great in the will, great in the palace, great in the prison, great when he became the manager of the Egypt financial business, great when he became the king of Egypt, and Allah completed his greatness when he made him a prophet. And that is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the muhsinin. And Yusuf is one of them. And who is muhsinin? Those people who drive for excellence in everything they do in their existence. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that strength and that beauty. أقول قولي هذا, and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us strong in these storms and this difficulty, and we never cave in. Remember to say Allahu Akbar. And remember in your dua tonight, inshallah, to our brother Hashmat. If you remember on the Friday Salat, he always walk out with his stick sitting on the chair during the khutbah next to the Imam's room. For the last 2 weeks, he's in the hospital. He got heart attack, and he got a kidney problem and other heart problem. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our uncle health, because the elderly people among us, when they're not around us, we lost a big library, and we lost an ocean of wisdom. They have it, and when they're not around, we lose it. May Allah extend their life so that we can learn how to be strong from them. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.